Travis's friends knew something wasn't right. Something was off about her, but they couldn't put their finger on it. Then, one day, Travis misses a trip, so they show up to his house and find him in the shower, stabbed over 27 times, throat slit, and a gunshot wound to the head. The woman they were worried about, the stories just didn't add up. Welcome back to Tell Me the Crime, episode 10. Yeah, you're going to have a hard time speaking today, so you should warn people. Yeah, you have bad canker sores everywhere.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
So I put the numbing gel.
So she's told me that I need to do most of the speaking today, so we're going to keep her, she's going to be a little bit quiet, but you can still do the and
I give you the effect.
Exactly. So I told you last week that I would do a gruesome one, a crazy murder story, actual crime story, right? So today's episode is about Jodi Arias. Okay.
Wait, hold on. Jodi Arias? I feel like I have heard that name. Is that in a show?
Possible. It's possible that you've heard it because it was a pretty big case. And she was in the news quite a bit. It's about someone whose story kept changing after a pretty gruesome murder of her boyfriend. So, let's get into it. Okay, so the boyfriend's name was Travis Alexander. Okay. And the thing that's really disturbing is it's not just a gruesome murder, it's that it's kind of psychologically terrifying the way that things happened with her and the way that she was clinging on to things and changing the narrative. So it's a pattern that she continually had, right? And we'll get into that a little bit deeper. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Travis first. So Travis Alexander was 30 years old. He was living in Mesa, Arizona. Now, he was deeply involved in the Mormon Latter-day Saints community. Okay?
In Arizona.
In Arizona. And that meant structure, accountability, and visibility, right? He wasn't just religious. He was embedded in that world. Have you heard of the Latter-day Saints before?
A Latter-day what?
Saints. It's a Mormon community. Yeah, it's a Mormon community, very highly religious. It's kind of like what we watched on the show the other day.
The Unchosen.
The Unchosen, yeah.
But the Unchosen is more like the closed Christianity.
Right.
But this one is not.
Well, this one is it is a community, right? They often live together in communities.
Okay, what's
and it's
the name again? Saint?
The Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
It's a Mormon community.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is important that he was pretty religious, right? And that he actually didn't start that way, though. Okay, so he grew up in a very different environment. His parents struggled with meth addiction. His early life was unstable. And eventually he and his siblings moved in with their grandparents because of all of this, right? So it was a very chaotic environment growing up. And that's where things changed, right? When he moved in with the grandparents. That's where he found stability and structure and, of course, Mormonism. And he really leaned into it hard, right? He built a life around discipline, success, and community. Okay, so he's really turned his life around to this new sort of sense of self.
Which is understandable.
Which is understandable, right? You grow up in a chaotic environment. One of the things that you want to do is, find that stability that makes you feel safe, right? So now let's talk a little bit about Jodi. Okay, so Jodi Arias enters that world, and she doesn't come from the same kind of structure, right? She had a very unstable upbringing, so sort of like his, unstable at the beginning, but hers never really, got into that structure the way his did later. Mm-hmm. She had more conflict with her family, less clear identity, and then when she meets Travis, things escalate fast. Very
What do you
fast.
mean by the unclear identities for Jodi?
So when you're in an unstable environment, it's hard to get a sense of yourself. You don't know what to latch on to. You don't know sort of, what your what your identity is, what your sense of self is, what your sense of belonging actually is in those cases, right? So when she finds Travis, that's a little bit different, right? Like I said, he came from an unstable environment as well, but then he turned things around and he got structure and reliability and, everything that Jodi didn't have at the time. So this was very different for her. Mm-hmm. And when she meets him, she ends up converting to Mormonism shortly after meeting him. Okay, so that's a big thing,
But
right?
what is
it's
the
a
motive?
religion.
What is the motive for her?
Well, I mean, one of the themes that you'll see over and over in this case is that she really tends to mold herself to the person that she's dating.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So a lot of people do that, right? They blend their self-identity into someone's identity that is more stable than them, right? So that instability becomes more stable when they're able to identify with someone who comes from, the structured, reliable background. Mm-hmm. So they take on that identity in order to feel that sense of self and stability. So she converts to Mormonism, and that's, not just a religious decision. It's an identity alignment, like we said. So let's talk about now their relationship dynamic. Now, it's emotionally intense, it's sexually active, okay, and we got to think about that one for a second, mm-hmm. and psychologically unstable. Okay, so here's the contradiction, right? Travis tells his friends she's not the one.
Oh, no.
Right? But he keeps seeing her.
What? That's not fair.
It's not fair, right? It's not very nice, of course. But, I mean, it happens, right? It does happen. People are flawed, right? And they're getting something out of it, but they just,
They're not ready to let it go.
They're not ready to commit, right? Sometimes you meet someone and they're not ready to commit.
Well, but they're in relationship, so he was committed to her, in a sense, right?
Sure. But it doesn't mean he's committed to her for long term, right?
True.
So, I mean, yeah,
okay.
I'm not proud of it, but yeah, I've had relationships like that where I'm not, I'm just not ready to commit yet, and it's kind of just a fun relationship, but I don't ever purposely try to string anyone along. It's just looking back on it now, it's like, oh, yeah, that could have been misleading, Mm-hmm. Okay, so she gets this combination, intimacy and rejection, right, which is powerful, and it keeps that bond alive.
Intimacy and rejection.
Yeah, so, right? So she's getting the intimacy. They're having sex constantly, right? But he's also saying, don't, this is not a long-term thing.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So he actually made it clear to her.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, I guess he did make it clear that it wasn't going to be a long-term thing. Apparently, they had like a very tumultuous relationship. It was on again, off again. It was very.
It's like
it was very sexually intense, but
pull
they were
push.
Exactly push and pull. Yeah,
push and pull.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Yeah,
that's not healthy.
It was not healthy at all. No. Now, I mentioned, too, that, it's a sexually active part of things. And the reason I said that that's important here is because in the Mormon community...
Oh, it's not allowed.
You're not supposed to be having sex before marriage, right? So that's kind of a thing that he also had to keep secret from the community, which, because he had his life turned around. He had everything, put together. And so that was not exactly something that that was, comfortable for him to share, right? So both of them have these conflicting, cognitive elements to them, to their personalities, right? So they have, or not to their personalities, but to their mental states, I guess. Okay. Now, friends start noticing some patterns, right? She starts to show up unannounced, right? She sometimes already knows how to get inside places like a garage code or access without anyone ever telling her, right? So she's showing up completely unannounced. And that's a little bit sketchy, right?
To his place, right?
Not just to his place. She starts showing up to events, like friends' events that, that she was not invited to. She seems to be inserting herself into his life constantly, right? So here's the other thing, too, is that she goes through his things, his emails, his messages, his private information. And she basically knows things that she really shouldn't know.
Like what?
Well, like I said, she knows passwords to things that she shouldn't know passwords to. She knows
where someone's privacy.
She knows where people are going to be showing up. Like she shows up to events unannounced, not invited. She just how does she even know about those things? Well, it's because she's gone through his things and knows his calendar and knows that he sent messages to his friends about this and that. So it's really, it's a very, very unhealthy dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's still around. She's still connected and still involved even after they eventually break up. Okay. So, this push and pull relationship is just not healthy. And they do eventually break up.
Who initiated that?
Well, we'll get into, it was Travis, right?
Okay.
But we'll get into that a little bit more. But, all of these signs, right? Every sign on its own, maybe, she looked through my phone or something, right? Sure. One time that happens, or twice it happens, it might not be a huge red flag, but it's all of the things that she did combined together that really scream red flags, right?
Yeah. I mean, although it's your partner, but your partner still has some privacy.
Exactly.
And you can communicate and ask.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if you have to feel like you need to do that, then maybe you don't trust each other. You know what I mean? Like if you feel like you have to go through things like that, then you probably don't trust each other, right? I mean, like you and I have an open policy with pretty much everything. Like,
I don't care.
Yeah, no, you don't care at all, and I don't care either. Like you can go through my phone anytime you want. Like my password. I leave it around you all the time. Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I don't know, with a kid, for example, if you say, hey, don't do it, they will do it.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that's very true.
I don't know. Like in relationship,
but we're not
I think,
kids, though.
No. In relationship, trust is really needed.
Exactly.
Well, but every couple has different approaches.
Very true. That. So I guess, individually, none of this screams danger, all these signs, but together it starts to feel like something isn't quite right. So they break up. Travis eventually breaks up with her, or tries to anyway, right? But again, she's still kind of sticking around and, being a little bit invasive, having a hard time letting go. And Travis starts dating other women. And some of them he starts to date more seriously, right? And he tells his friends he wants someone more aligned with his religious values, right? Because it sounds like she just adopted this religion because he was Mormon, right? So she didn't really believe in those things. It was more of a hey, he's doing it, so I'll do it too. But here's the thing, right? He doesn't fully cut Jodi off.
That's not good either.
No, it's not good either at all. He keeps everything alive, right? So he's still sleeping with her.
That's not good.
And he's still talking to her,
Don't
right?
do that,
Even though
guys over there.
dating. Exactly. So he's giving her hope, right? When he probably
Yeah.
shouldn't. And I'm not trying to blame anything on him whatsoever, because what she does is absolutely horrifying. But yeah, it's probably not a good idea. Things get messy to keep seeing someone when you're trying to break it off with them.
And then he's forming another relationship with somebody else. I mean, that is not cool, bro.
Yep, exactly. So he basically said, like, I don't want you as my future. But in
He
private,
said to her?
Yeah. He
Okay.
basically told her, I don't see you as my future partner, but he basically said, I'll still fuck you.
Well, in that case,
essentially,
then the girl should be able to make a decision, right? Like, do
she
you want to be in
should,
that?
but think of, how her, I mean, yeah, sure, she could just walk away, but she comes from a very unstable environment, and she's not very stable at all anyway, right? So she is deriving a lot of self worth and I guess like self identity from this relationship, because like I said, she kind of merges herself into whoever she's dating, right? Turns herself into whatever they are doing. And that's a problem, because he's now making things unstable for her. So now she's losing part of her self-identity.
It's like delusional but clear self-identity. I don't know how to put that. It's like she has a sense of belonging, but it's not real either.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. So the ambiguity here for her becomes pretty dangerous, because she's highly attached. She's already sensitive to rejection, the push and pull, and she's organizing her identity around it. So let's talk about the day that the murder happens, okay? So on June 4th, 2008, Jodi Arias was at Travis Alexander's home in Mesa, okay? And this is where the evidence becomes pretty devastating. So a digital camera was found in the washing machine after the murder. And I'll tell you about the murder. But after the murder, a digital camera was found in the washing machine, damaged but recoverable. And investigators recovered images that the memory card photos of Travis showed him alive that day. There were sexual photos of him
and her,
and later images connected to the attack timeline. So the prosecutors, of course, the lawyers, used the camera as evidence against Jodi, right? So that's really what sort of broke the case open, is finding that camera.
Well, that's
not
a big
confession.
Evidence.
Yeah, not a confession, not a witness seeing the murder. It was just a camera. And a damaged camera that she tried to destroy, right? She threw it into the laundry machine hoping that would destroy the camera, which is really, to me, it's like, how do you not, why not just like pull out the card and exactly, pull out the card and destroy it? Like, why would you, I don't know, why would you take that chance?
I don't know, maybe she was just so angry and that's all.
Yeah, exactly. But, okay, the actual murder, okay? This violence and the murder that happened is pretty, is pretty aggressive. So Travis was found dead in the shower, and he had been stabbed 27 times, and his throat was slit.
Oof.
And he had a gunshot wound to the forehead.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
that's wild.
which is crazy, right? So I mean, clearly 27 times his throat was slit and a gunshot wound to the head. What does that tell you about, the state of mind that person must have been in to do that.
Yeah. Well, she was holding a lot of anger and hate, and maybe she was also planning to do that for a long time. She was just waiting for the chance, right?
Well, yeah, that's possible. But generally speaking, when people have like such a gruesome case like that, where they've been stabbed that many times, it usually indicates that the person reacted emotionally.
Yeah.
Right. So like very emotionally, kind of in the moment, like she was super angry. Right. 20, because you can kill someone with much less than 27 stabs. 27 stabs is like she's going and not stopping. Right. Yeah. And then a gunshot to the head just to make sure that like that's aggression. That is anger and like I want to murder you like bad.
I'm really glad that you're safe until today.
Yeah. What are you telling me, you're gonna kill me later, or?
No, I mean, like if you share like this kind of relationship, right?
Oh yeah,
you never knew.
That's true. That's
how
true.
Other person
I've had
react.
I've had some unstable relationships for sure. So the invasiveness, definitely stands out to me as well. But luckily, I'm still alive, so that's good. Yeah. Okay. So. Okay, so, it's not just killing, this is overkill, right? And like I said, it's suggestive of an intense emotional arousal, rage, panic, humiliation, desperation, or a highly personal attack. Now, it doesn't really tell you motive, but it does tell you that it wasn't a neutral attack. It wasn't detached. This was intimate violence. And, that's in line with how it was portrayed, too, in the sense that they had spent the day together and they were emotionally intimate that day. Not just emotionally intimate, but also sexually intimate. Because the photos showed that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, after the murder, right, something, shifts after the murder. Okay, she doesn't panic. She cleans. She wipes surfaces. She attempts to destroy evidence. She puts the camera in the washing machine, right? Then she goes from chaos to control. So, she gets, absolutely intense and then tries to clean things up and control things. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, like I said, they found the camera and they found the memory card and they were able to recover information. And initially, she denies everything. Okay. So, the first version of her story, right? She tells 3 stories throughout this entire thing, right? This is the thing that gets really interesting, right? So, she does obviously get, busted in the end, but she did have 3 different stories, and she's essentially in all of them trying to control the narrative and make herself not seem like this horrible murderer, right? She's trying to shift the narrative so that each story, she had to do it or she didn't do it at all, right? So the first story was pretty simple. She wasn't there. That's just basic denial, right? She said that nothing happened. She wasn't there at all, right? Then evidence placed her there, right? The camera. So the story had to change. And her second story was that 2 intruders broke into Travis's home, killed him, and attacked her. Okay, so ABC summarized that after first saying that she was nowhere near the crime scene, Arias told police that she was present, and then 2 intruders murdered Travis and threatened to kill her family if she talked. Okay, so that was her second story. That's not just a small adjustment in the story. That's a complete narrative reconstruction. So she completely shifted the narrative, right? From not being there at all to 2 intruders came in and killed them and then threatened her, right?
I think that's a pretty big jump.
It's a massive jump, right? She's no longer not there. She's now a witness to the murder, right? And not just a witness, she's also a victim in this scenario. And then later, the story changed a third time. She admitted to killing Travis, but claimed self-defense. So, the arc is, I was not there, I was there, but intruders did it, and then I killed him, but I had to. So the progression is psychologically rich, right? Each version moves closer to the actual reality of things, but each version still preserves her self-protection, right? So she has this sense of, oh, I had to do it, or, right, in both of those second scenarios, she had to do it, right? None of them she admits to doing it because she was jealous or anything like that. So in each case, there's a sense of controlling how she's viewed, right? Okay, so the interrogation is one of the most interesting parts because of how things change, right? And how things shifted as those narratives change, right? Okay, so a weak lie gets replaced by a stronger lie, right? Is essentially what happens throughout this whole case. And then it gets modified. And when the evidence is just overwhelming, the person tends to give a partial truth wrapped in some new justification. And that's really what was happening with her case, right? It's exactly what makes this case interesting, right? So there are 3 levels of defensive storytelling, right? There's first, denial, I was not there. Second, externalization, I was not there, but someone else did it. Third, justification, I did it, but it was necessary. And those are not just random stories, right? They're psychological maneuvers. Each one protects the self-image. Each one tries to control how other people interpret the same facts. Okay. So in Jodi's case, the intruder story is a clear case of manipulating narrative, right? It has villains, it has danger, it has threat to her family, and it explains why she didn't come forward. It turns from suspect into survivor, right? Which is sort of the psychological function of the story here. So, it's not meant to hide facts, it's meant to transform the identity from killer to victim. Now, her friends apparently had seen a bunch of warning signs, right? I told you at the beginning she was kind of showing up to places that she shouldn't have. It was pretty obvious that there was something wrong with her, right? So before the murder, the concerning behavior was about access and control. And after the murder, the interrogation behavior is about access and control, but now over the narrative, right? So before, she wanted to access Travis, and after, she wanted to access the story, right? So before, she seemed unable to tolerate his separateness, and then after, she seemed unable to tolerate a version of events where she was simply guilty. So that's the through line. She is control, right? This is why the case is not just about obsession. It's about what happens when attachment becomes fused with control. Now the trial, right? It was highly public. The friends testify. They describe the same patterns. She was always around. She was knowing too much. She was not letting go. And now in hindsight, those things feel really different, right? Because now those things are pretty terrifying to the friends because they were warning signs that, in combination, they were dangerous warning signs that this person couldn't let go. She needed to control those things or she didn't feel safe. Jodi testifies and she seems pretty calm and controlled. And even at times she seems detached. Right, which is very interesting, right? It's very different from what the evidence of the murder suggests. this whole case is about attachment, identity, rejection, and control. And in the end, what happens is she is convicted. I mean, her story changed three different times.
Yeah,
right?
but the jumps between stories are pretty huge.
They're massive changes. It's not like a tiny little detail
it's not
change.
subtle
No, she was shifting the entire story.
And, which is pretty easy to detect, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And so at the end of the day, she was convicted of the murder. It was pretty clear, right? It was very obvious evidence that it was her. And she was convicted to life without the possibility of parole in prison.
Whoa.
Yeah. So,
did she
she
express
deserves
any
it.
regret at all?
No, not from what I saw. I mean, she didn't even admit to it, right? She was saying it was complete self-defense. And I watched a couple of clips of her up on the stand, too. She was trying to play the victim, right? And, she certainly didn't say, oh, yeah, I did it. Like, and I was just angry and I lost it. It was nothing like that. But anyway, so at first, this looks like a brutal killing, but underneath it's really just something else. It's a relationship that never fully ended, right? He kind of strung her along a little bit, but again, not his fault that he got, murdered. That's just crazy. And it's really about a person who couldn't let go, and a story that kept changing until it just couldn't anymore. So she couldn't control him, and because of that, she ended up killing him, right? So that is the story for today.
Wow.
I know. It's pretty crazy. So Jodi Arias, the story that kept changing. So Travis Alexander, the victim, unfortunately.
That's sad.
So anyway, that is the story for today. And I know your voice is probably dying, even though you didn't talk too much and it was mostly narrative based today. Hopefully your voice is better by next week.
It's not my voice, it's my lips and
it's
tongue.
your lips.
And,
yeah, that's true. I mean, those giant canker sores on
some
inside
giant
your mouth.
canker sores, but I really enjoyed the story.
Oh, that's good. Well, I hope the listeners also enjoyed it.
Well, what's your main takeaway?
My main takeaway is look out for those red flags. The combination of those red flags. Not every single one of them is going to be damning evidence on its own, but as a collective, look out.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening to Tell Me the Crime, episode 10, and we will be back next week with Fabriana giving us story.
Yeah, and I will get recovered from my canker sore.
Exactly. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.